Most people have seen the Ice Bucket challenges for ALS awareness all over social media. But how many people have actually seen what it is to live with ALS? Join MB12 this Monday evening for an in-depth look at what it is to live with this debilitating disease as we do our part to increase ALS awareness.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into MB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, Shantytown residents shocked as they see their homes destroyed. BECC to soon be restructured. Could the country be ready for a female prime minister? One former cabinet minister thinks so. Plus, see the ultimate ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I'm Paige McCartney. We've got those stories and more straight ahead on MB12 Weekend. MB12 Weekend. Scores of Haitian families will be forced to find new homes this week after receiving eviction notices. They have less than a week to leave as demolition crews have already begun tearing down homes in those illegal communities. Kyle Joaquin spoke with some of those residents who say they were shocked to see the homes of their friends and relatives being knocked down with their belongings inside.
This is just one of the structures that a Haitian family once called home before demolition crews came in and tore it down. For some of them, they say they've only been given 1 week to pack up and leave.
I go, since I finish, pack up everything I get, I go. But 1 more week I go.
You have a place to go as yet? You have?
I'm looking, I could find.
You going where?
I could find.
You could find?
Yeah.
So you don't know yet?
No, I don't know yet. I look, see, everything was packed up now to get a move. There's people say you want the place, we're supposed to get the place, right?
Aib Gial says he has until the end of the week to leave the Shantytown, or the place that he calls home will be demolished like so many others around him. This community, located just off Faith Avenue, is now in the process of being destroyed. However, the government's plan to rid the country of shantytowns will leave many of these Haitian families homeless. Louis Delijean said he too was given a week to leave. But in his search for an apartment, Delijean claims he met a landlord who took his money but won't sign the paperwork for him to take to social services. Now he says the landlord refuses to reimburse him.
I pay for that. Now, the same form, social service give me, he don't pull that, that's why. And he tell me, I pay him. I know social service take plenty time to get money. Now I really give him money in my pocket. Now, when he finish take my money, we come back, must be after he come back, he tell me he can't pull, he don't pull that. I tell you, okay, you don't pull, you can't help me. I tell you, give me my money. Now.
Last night I call him, she say he have to go on a lawyer before he carry money. Because when he pick up money on my husband, he carry lawyer too. Why I don't know why he say he have to go to lawyer before he carry money.
Back in April, the Shantytown in Pride Estates was demolished. In this shantytown, tractors have already cleared down the bushes concealing these wooden structures. Residents called it an eyesore. Senfora Guillami says she's been in her home in this shantytown for over 8 years and received her eviction notice back in July. However, she's still there. With this latest notice, she says she knows she must leave as all the homes around her have started to come down. He said you have a week to leave. You know where you're going?
I don't know yet.
So, what are you going to do? Have you packed up?
Yeah, I pack up.
Who told you that you have to leave?
One man come. Every day, sometime people come give letter. I never find letter. One day, I find one letter on the back door. I keep it. I send that to my neighbor.
Mm-hmm. So how many of you live in this house?
This one?
Mm-hmm.
2006.
How many people live here?
Me, him, one little boy. 3 people.
3 people?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys don't know where you're going to go, is it?
No.
Have you? Guillami's home has no electricity or any other basic amenities. She said she has no job and never went to social services for help. But now she fears that's her only hope. NB12 reached out to Environment Minister Kendra Dorset for comment. However, no calls were returned up to news time. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, Prime Minister Perry Christie says Cabinet has made a decision on the restructuring of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation. However, he says they are still in discussion with government's advisor on the deal, KPMG Bahamas. Last week, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis, who has ministerial responsibility for BEC, said that an announcement would be made within a week or so. However, Christie told reporters that further discussion on the matter is needed.
I believe today I become the acting minister in place of the Deputy Prime Minister, who is traveling, representing me to Samoa and at a small island conference in Samoa. The process that the government is faced with now is the government has made a decision with respect to the way forward on BEC, but the government has to have now further discussions with KPMG to ensure that we are all on the same page with respect to that.
The government intends to create two new entities. The first company will be responsible for distribution systems, billing, collection, customer services, and other relevant services across the Bahamas. The second entity will be responsible for the operation, maintenance, repair, and financing of BEC's current electricity generation facilities. And a former cabinet minister says she thinks the Bahamas is ready for a female prime minister. Teresa Moxie Ingram, who served as a cabinet minister under the first two Ingram administrations, says there should be nothing stopping a strong and qualified woman from holding the highest political office in the country.
Yes, indeed. I think we have some excellent possible women out there as presently in the Parliament, and also women that I know who are interested in more frontline politics. I think the time has come. Women are as qualified as the males are. I think their vision is as clear, as pure. Sometimes I think even a little bit purer than the males are. And so yes, I don't see that as something that's inconceivable. I believe it can happen.
Moxie Ingram says when she looks at all the women sitting in Parliament, there are one or two who stand out as potential leaders.
I think yes. I think that is probably this whole business about women and their political future is almost accompanying in some ways this whole debate on equality of opportunity, equality of education, and all of that. And once we have secured in our minds first and then in our constitution the principle of equality for all, that both sexes are equal, then we will also seriously look at the idea that women and men are equal in their abilities.
And Free National Movement Deputy Leader Loretta Butler Turner has already indicated that she's considering running for the top post in her party. And the co-chair of the Coalition for Responsible Taxation is calling on the government to pass a fiscal responsibility bill ahead of the implementation of value-added tax in January to ensure that the revenue collected from that is used to pay down the government's deficit and eventually government debt. When Prime Minister Perry Christie announced last year that that would be the foundation of government's tax reform initiative, he said drastic measures were needed to grow the nation's revenue base. However, Gowan Bowe said there needs to be a law that holds government accountable for its spending.
And I think it's important to distinguish between repayment of debt versus the deficit. The first thing we have to do is reduce the deficit and move into surpluses so we can start paying down debt. And I think more critical is now holding the government accountable for saying that you don't add expenditure, so that the VAT we collect is actually to defray the already existing high deficits we're running. But if you're going to start creating new expenditure, then we're going to lose the value of VAT, and that's when you would have complete resistance, because this is not new money to start new initiatives. This is new revenue to change our fiscal trajectory that we're currently on.
The organization has suggested that limits be placed on government spending. Those limits, he says, should be enforced according to the law set out in the bill.
What's most important is that before you implement programs, you understand how you're going to pay for it. Part of the Fiscal Responsibility Act that New Zealand has and other countries is saying that you can't introduce new expenditure unless you have a feasibility study that says how is it going to be paid for. And that's how we're going to curb expenditure. So things like national health insurance, things like the new Defense Force boats, things like the opening of the Princess Margaret Critical Care Block. When we start talking about those critical expenditure, whilst no one would challenge we need some of those elements, can we afford to do so? And if we can't afford to do so, we need to rework the numbers.
Bo said government officials haven't completely written off the proposal, but they haven't fully agreed to it either. He said Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis told him that the bill is not a priority at this time.
I haven't gotten any feedback that they're not willing to embrace it. It's always going to be how early in an administration's term they do so, because it's going to be, well, have it in play, and so it doesn't become an election football. And they know that if you have it and you have criticism because you have either failure to adhere to it or programs that are not feasible when you're making promises on the campaign trail, then that's going to prevent that. And we have the sinister side of that is governments, when they go into re-election mode, will want to make promises that are maybe not the best. And they're not going to want to promote something that is going to highlight the lack of feasibility.
Bo said enacting a fiscal responsibility bill is perhaps the best way to hold government accountable. However, he said civic pressure, as has been displayed with the restructuring of that, can be just as effective. And it's the ultimate ice bucket challenge. Rotarians came together yesterday to take part in the craze that's swept the world and now the Bahamas. The Ice Bucket Challenge, which was created to spread awareness and raise funds for ALS treatment and research, has become a phenomenon that has everyone dunking themselves with ice-cold water. Rotarian Charles Seeley says they came together in support of Edna Smith, who was diagnosed with ALS 8 years ago. He said it's important to do their part to raise awareness and funds to help find a cure.
So it's especially a treat for us today to be here with him and his family, more so to show him that we are here standing with them, but also to pledge and donate towards the cure. Because that's so important. And so we've got Rotary here, we've got members of his lodge who are here, we've got his family members who are here, members of his church who are here today, and so there's a good semblance of persons who truly love him and want to show their care by showing their support.
Larry Trico says his father, Carl Trico, was diagnosed 6 months after Smith. However, his father lost his battle 4 years ago. He says he hopes that a cure is found soon.
This is a terrible disease because it just, your body deteriorates, but your mind is still active and you know what's going on around you and you can't do anything about it. And there's very little research, there's nothing they can do to help you or make any change in your life. So.
And we all hope that they will find a cure soon. But the only way to draw attention to the need to do the research and to get the funding to cure this disease is actions such as this. That's how AIDS got all the funding, after people drew attention to it. And so I'm here to support Andrea, his wife, who has been laboring with him for the last 7 years or so, and all of the family members, in the hope that this type of action will help to spur research.
And ALS stands for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and is often referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and the spinal cord. It's a debilitating disease that leaves most carriers paralyzed. Be sure to tune in to MB12 News tomorrow night to see Edna Smith's story. When MB12 returns, the National Security Minister seeks to inspire students ahead of the new school year. Stay with us.